A picture can paint 1,000 words, and AMAD didn't look happy when preparing to enter the pitch during Manchester United's game against Fenerbahce on Thursday night. AMAD was pictured standing on the touchline, waiting to be substituted on, with a glum look as René Hake, Ruud van Nistelrooy, and Andreas Georgsson tried to G him up. There were just minutes of the match remaining, and AMAD was clearly irked at not starting and then being overlooked for Antony when Marcus Rashford was replaced in a surprising decision. The Brazilian winger was stretchered off in the 89th minute, and that gave AMAD his chance, but it was too late in the day. Noussair Mazraoui was selected to start as the number 10 in Bruno Fernandes' absence, a position AMAD has played in the past. He had to deal with 2 setbacks in a single night, so it was understandable to see him looking so disenchanted when he was finally told to warm up, speaking at his post-match press conference. Ten Hag explained his decision and said, "For AMAD, he is doing well, but we have to reward the performances of Antony in training. He is a threat almost every training, so I felt in that moment to bring him to decide the game. But AMAD, you saw he had 1 or 2 actions, very pleased with all the effort and most of the players, the quality. I think away from home in Europe in a hectic ambiance, to start with 4 attackers is too much. So I know Nous Mazraoui is very capable to play in that position. Training performances have a huge say in which players are chosen, but Antony has hardly performed on a match day for United, whereas AMAD has looked full of promise. He ended last season with a flourish and was unfortunate not to start in the FA Cup final. He began the new campaign by starting the opening 5 Premier League games, but instead of kicking on after his man-of-the-match performance against Southampton, his minutes have been reduced. Since AMAD excelled at St. Mary's Stadium, he has played 6 minutes against Barnsley, 76 against Crystal Palace, 67 against FC Twente, 5 against Tottenham, 68 against FC Porto. He was an unused substitute against Aston Villa and Brentford and was given a cameo against Fenerbahce. You'd struggle to find a United fan who would bring Antony on over AMAD, and the latter might be considering his options after seemingly slipping down the pecking order. AMAD, now 22, has entered the final year of his United contract. The club have a 1-year extension option and plan to negotiate fresh terms to safeguard his long-term future. But AMAD may need to be convinced he is at the right club to progress in his career. Starting a defender as a number 10 when AMAD played in that role on loan with Sunderland was bad enough for the Ivory Coast international before Antony got the nod ahead of him. AMAD must have been frustrated in Istanbul, and those decisions compounded a challenging few weeks for him when he was enjoying the best stint of his time at the club, only for his progress to be suddenly halted. Maybe AMAD has downed tools in training, and Ten Hag is seeing something the public aren't, but it's been bizarre to see him given fewer and fewer minutes in recent matches. Just when he was enjoying the breakthrough season he was desperate for, he's seemingly back at square one. It has been 1 step forward and 2 back for the winger. He has a decision to make on his future and has received mixed signals from Ten Hag. Nobody could blame AMAD for pushing for a departure if his predicament continues. But it's also possible he might be tempted to stick around and outlast Ten Hag. The frown on AMAD's face in Turkey showed what he was thinking, and it will be fascinating to see how often he features in the coming weeks. Manchester United winger Antony could be set for a spell on the sidelines after being seen leaving the stadium on crutches following the draw against Fenerbahce. United chalked up a 3rd successive draw in the Europa League on Thursday night in Istanbul. Jose Mourinho's side ensured that Erik Ten Hag and his players have not tasted victory in the competition for 12 months. And there was further bad news after the final whistle. Antony only came on as a 73rd minute substitute for Marcus Rashford, but had to be withdrawn 16 minutes later for AMAD Diallo. The problem initially appeared innocuous, but the Brazilian appeared in some discomfort and signaled to the bench that he needed replacing. A stretcher was brought onto the pitch to take the former Ajax man off, and he was later seen using crutches and wearing a protective boot on his left leg, as he went through the media mixed zone on the way to the United coach. Antony has contributed just 1 goal in 5 appearances across all competitions this season, but Ten Hag can hardly afford any more injuries. The Dutchman later found himself having to defend his decision to introduce the 24-year-old ahead of AMAD, a call which angered some fans on social media, saying Antony had been training very good. Antony has just 12 goals and 5 assists in 86 matches for United since Ten Hag oversaw an £86 million transfer to land him from his former club Ajax. He has so far failed to live up to his billing, with Alejandro Garnacho, Rashford, and AMAD preferred in wide areas this season. But with Harry Maguire, Johnny Evans, Luke Shaw, Mason Mount, Lenny Yoro, and Tyrell Malacia all missing from the trip to Istanbul, Ten Hag already has enough injuries on his hands. The result didn't do much to ease the pressure on his job either. Christian Eriksen put the away side ahead with a powerful finish at the end of a flowing move involving Garnacho, Noussair Mazraoui, and Joshua Zirkzee. That was their first shot on goal, but the good times didn't last. Andre Onana made 2 stunning quick-fire saves from Youssouf En-Nesyri to keep United 1-0 up at half-time, but the Fenerbahce striker nodded in from Alain Saint-Maximin's cross to equalize shortly after. The home side then had a penalty waved away for Manuel Ugarte's challenge on Bright Osai Samuel, an incident which saw Jose Mourinho sent off. Casemiro and Rasmus Højlund were summoned from the bench in the 55th minute in search of some inspiration, but United couldn't find it. They now sit 21st in the Europa League table after failing to beat FC Twente, Porto, and Fenerbahce. Erik Ten Hag will be looking for his Manchester United team to follow up their win over Brentford at the weekend with a result against Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce. The Red Devils are winless after their opening 2 Europa League games against FC Twente and FC Porto, and things won't get any easier when they walk out in Turkey to lock horns with their former boss. Ten Hag's side then have another big Premier League fixture ahead this weekend as United travel to West Ham on Sunday. They are currently 12th in the table, and the onus is on them to start climbing the league sooner rather than later. Ahead of Thursday night's match with Fenerbahce, Mirror Football rounds up all the latest news from in and around Old Trafford. Erik Ten Hag refused to become embroiled in a war of words with Jose Mourinho on the eve of Manchester United's crucial meeting with Fenerbahce in the Europa League. Mourinho, who won the same tournament during his time at United, stuck the boot in ahead of the match by outlining that nobody had come close to emulating his triumph in Europe since he was sacked by the Red Devils back in 2018. Rather than biting back, Ten Hag admitted there was work to be done to improve United's record in Europe under him, with the Dutchman overseeing just 1 win from their last 10 European games. The Glazer family are among the prospective bidders looking to acquire one of the 8 franchises in the 100. Chelsea director Jonathan Goldstein is also one of the high-profile names who has registered interest via the Rain Group, as reported by The Telegraph. The first round of bidding closed on Friday, and it's been reported that offers worth £650 million have been tabled for the franchises. Gareth Southgate could reportedly be considered for the manager's job at Crystal Palace if the Eagles decided to part company with Oliver Glasner. Palace have endured a shocking start to the season, and the scrutiny on Glasner, who made a huge impact last term, has grown in recent weeks, and the noise over his future has intensified following another defeat against Nottingham Forest on Monday night. Southgate recently outlined that he would be taking a year out of football, but that hasn't prevented speculation over his own future, with The Guardian claiming the former England boss could soon be targeted by one of his former clubs.